Welcome to week 3. I'm glad that I get the opportunity to talk about the Young Life model of evangelism this week. It's been an important part of my life and an important part of the way that I continue to do ministry. So week 3 is actually about personal evangelism, sharing our faith in daily life. And I think Carrie asked me to talk about the Young Life method because I actually heard the gospel, first of all, through the Young Life method, which isn't really the Young Life method. It's a method focused on relationships. Young Life has really valued that across time, but it's not like Young Life's thing. They're not the only ones that do this. But what happened with me was I was a high school kid. I was 17 years old, and a Young Life leader named Mark spent a lot of time with me, and I appreciated that very much. And over the course of coffees and over the course of Blimpie subs, if you remember those Blimpies, Mark slowly shared the good news of Jesus with me. And it was effective for a couple of reasons. The first, I would argue, is that Mark developed a relationship with me that was filled with trust. The phrase Young Life uses all the time is earning the right to be heard. And Mark certainly did that with me. He earned the right to be heard. And then on a second level, which I would want to encourage us into, is Mark also functioned in a mutual relationship with me. As a 17-year-old, there weren't many adults that were showing a mutual formation in our relationship. There's typically the adult relationship, and I was the kid. Mark was one of the first relationships that he allowed me to shape him as well. So with those two things in mind, I would argue that what I do now as a church planter and as a person who helps lots of other church planters to do this work of evangelism, again, in our post-colonial setting, which I hope we keep on the forefront of our conversation, Mark's model, Young Life's model, the model that's been used across time, has been really effective for me in Northeast Los Angeles. So again, my context, remember, is super liberal, super artsy, super post-Christian, all these elements that can make it difficult to share the faith. Christendom certainly does not have a hold here anymore like it does in some other parts of the country and the world. So basically what I say I do all the time is I function like a Young Life leader. I say this to Young Life people, but it's interesting to tie it in here to a church planting conversation. I spend copious amounts of time with people, day in and day out, between 3 and 8 meetings per day, sitting over the course of lots of coffee, lots of meals, lots of happy hours, lots of time on my back porch, hearing people's stories, doing, again, that work of earning the right to be heard. People are automatically suspicious of me because I'm a pastor, so we have to quickly break through that, and that's an artful process that requires different attention on different details for different people. Once I've earned the right to be heard, I'll share about what God has done in my life. But it doesn't end there. Remember, these relationships need to be mutual. So it's not that I'm just there to tell people what to think about God or theology or church or life or reality. I'm also listening to them, and I'm being shaped and formed by them. I get this great opportunity to sit and be shaped by literally hundreds of people across time. And it continues to make me who I am in my own life and in my marriage and in my friendships. So the Spirit of God is indeed amongst these relationships, and they are mutually forming. And it's amazing what I get to learn about God and about Jesus through sitting with people who don't necessarily identify as Christians. They've taught me so much, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, that's kind of the frame I want to share from the church planter point from week 3. Earning the right to be heard, but doing so in a mutual way where we're learning from one another. Have a great week, everyone.